Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Elementary, a great episode. Holy crap, was this such a really good episode, because I wasn't expecting things to kind of spiral the way they did. I mean, a lot of interesting things about Maddie's situation in particular. It seems that basically Michael took items from other people he's killed and put them on her, which is so interesting. I was like, that's so, because the moment they pointed out, because even Hannah noticed it, she's like, yeah, something seemed weird, but she just couldn't place it. And it's just like, well, that's what it was. I'm blanking because I don't remember if they actually said he did that to other people or not. It seems like Maddie was specifically the only one. I mean, she was kind of like the grand, the piece I'm bumbling and screwing up on this. She was the mega showcase. It's kind of like, oh, to put it all together, like, hey, here's this case you didn't know. Because the fact is, he's kind of been all over the place. It isn't just New York. He's been all over the place killing people. And I guess it makes kind of sense, him being an architect and everything, construction, kind of be everywhere. I mean, you'd assume just New York, but I mean, if he works for a big enough business, I'm sure he could be all over the place. But it's like, there's people from different jurisdictions coming together that Gregson is like, yeah, like, you guys didn't realize you were dealing with the same person until now we kind of pieced it all together, because he literally wanted us to know he's doing it all together. It's so fascinating. But to me, what got me so much in this episode, obviously trying to piece everything together, trying to find out like what items belong to who. Obviously, a lot of them items obviously reference victims. But what ended up happening is Sherlock traced the earrings and ended up tracing them back to Polly, because he ended up looking through some surveillance stuff, and then it just goes like, oh, well, what was it exactly? They were looking through some surveillance stuff, and yeah, he ended up seeing Polly up there and realized, and he went to Michael, and I was like, oh man, it's crazy. He's just like, yeah, I'm so sorry, I did. Yeah, I was like, oh man, he's so apologetic about it. I was like, oh man, that sucks, because he doesn't realize that Polly's killer's right in front of him, and it's just, oh, it's Sherlock's being apologetic for being like, oh man, I didn't know that she, you know, I took this case for granted. I thought she was just missing. She was a runaway, but it's like, no, she's a murder victim, and I'm sorry. Don't worry, I'm gonna catch this guy. And the moment he left, and Watson's right beside him, and she's like, so? And he's like, yep, no doubt in my mind he did. I was like, oh my God, was not expecting it. I thought that was gonna feed into it a little bit more of Sherlock being like, not really, you know, Sherlock being like legitimately caught up in it, but it's like, no, Sherlock realized immediately. I guess it's just Michael's reactions, because even you can tell like the way he's just kind of like, oh, it didn't look genuine anyway. It looked like he was just, oh, like he was putting on a performance like, oh, like, okay, I've seen enough people be like a Saturn or empathetic, so I know how to do it. But it's like, it did seem like he did it weird. And I think maybe that's major props to Desmond Harrington for being able to portray that, of like being like, oh, he didn't look sad. He was just kind of like, oh man, show shot. Oh, that's so, wow, that's crazy. It's like, oh my God, like, dude, like his reactions, like you could tell, like it was like, oh, that seems a little off. So that's why I'm like, you gotta give props to Desmond Harrington for doing that. Like you can feel Michael feigning like he has feelings or something, like he really cares. But that was just kind of an interesting thing. But I was not expecting him to be on top of it. Like, yep, Michael's killer. Let everybody in on it. Like, yep, this dude is the killer. I was like, that's so good. I was like, wait, what? I thought this was gonna be a season-long storyline. I was like, I figured it's gonna go beyond this, but like, you know, even before everything kind of went down, I was like, it has to go longer than this. I thought this was gonna be like the main overarching story of this season, but nevertheless, Sherlock and Joan were posted up at his place. The moment he saw Michael was like, oh, thank goodness she's gone. I immediately was like, okay, either that's the real Michael, or we're going to have this whole weird situation where Sherlock just kind of hallucinates because it's part of his condition. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it. It hasn't come up yet this season. I mean, the last time he hallucinated was the whole situation with his mom last season, but that hasn't come up yet. It doesn't mean it won't. But so far, it's just been headaches and kind of sensitivity to light, kind of being like having hard time, you know, being very sleepy and stuff like that. That's about it. The sleep situation is mainly because his medication made him sleepy, but which apparently he hasn't been taking it. Even Joan's like, what the hell are you doing? Stop doing that. Don't be stupid. Take your medicine. Apparently he threw it out because for him, it's like, oh, because yes, he got these headaches and stuff. It makes it a little hard to concentrate, but being on that medication will make it even harder to do his job, especially with Michael, because for him, this whole thing with Michael is personal, because it's like, this is a guy I considered a friend. We sat across from each other. He's even been to our home, and I was literally across from him, because it's also pride too, because it's like Sherlock is like, I'm supposed to be he's such a great detective. He didn't realize he was sitting right across from a murderer who actually inspired by him. Weird thing is, he ended up taking Sherlock to the hospital, which I shouldn't be too shocked by. He legitimately cares about Sherlock. It's like, no, you are my friend. And he basically explains to Sherlock what this all happened. It's like, so it is kind of like what we kind of pieced together so far. It's just kind of like, yeah, when he was referencing his work, apparently, yeah, he's been a serial killer for a while, but then he got into heroin because, and it hurt more. So listening to Sherlock got him off of heroin because that's when he started focusing on his works and killing more. So he's always been a serial killer. It just, because I figured that was going to be kind of like the case, but it's just crazy. And like I said, this is all some weird roundabout way of being like, oh yeah, we're helping each other. Like, is it this whole cat and mouse situation? Because for him, it's like, he got bored. It's like, yeah, it isn't just about helping Sherlock. It is also about potentially getting caught because he likes to rush because it's like, oh, getting away with murder became so easy, which is like, wow, that's next level. It's like, it's so easy. I literally have to spice things up. It's like, oh, he thought giving a case where Sherlock would help Sherlock, but also help him. It's like a mutual cat and mouse situation of like, the cat needs the mouse to kind of validate its existence. And, I'm over stating it like that, but it's kind of essentially what they're kind of alluding to, because it's like, you need me to kind of keep you motivated, because it's not just the work. We both know that. It's like, oh, we understand each other, almost like they're kindred spirits, which just makes Sherlock want to take him down that much more. They tracked down where Polly's body was, and lo and behold, I was like, the moment the dogs barked, I was like, really? That fast? It's like, oh no, because it's a dummy, wiped down the scene and everything. I'm like, dude, Michael's good. Catching him will not be that easy. And that's the most frustrating thing, especially when Gregson found out about the Hannah situation, the Hannah connection. It's like, oh my God, this guy, that bastard was near my daughter. It's like so frustrating. They don't have enough evidence to kind of get any warrants or anything like that. Like, Michael is severely good at this stuff. I mean, he's been at it for a while. The way they make it seems like that dude Graham, his wife Ashley, it seems like she might have been the first because he was sloppy. Because apparently Graham came home in time to see him, but it didn't matter in the grand scheme, even the whole letter he sent them. I was wondering, did he send... They're saying that was meant to kind of rile... to mess with Graham, but part of me was wondering, did he legitimately send that because he actually did feel bad? It's like, honestly, you weren't supposed to be caught up in all of this. Was that his, like, in his own twisted way, was that him trying to be sincere, just like him being sincere with Sherlock? Maybe he was actually, there was some sincerity in that letter that he was kind of like, I'm so sorry, I wasn't trying to frame you for, I was just trying to kill her, and it just unexpectedly happened that you got caught up in the crossfire type of thing. So I don't know. Because his whole thing isn't about killing out of hatred or anything like that. It's legitimately just because he enjoys it. He enjoys the thrill, the hunt, you know? What really caught me off guard was when Sherlock ended up buying drugs. I was like, oh, wait. I was like, no, Sherlock, you're slipping. Just the fact of the matter is being sick and everything. Like his, probably not getting rest. Because, I mean, he hasn't been sleeping at all, really. Like I said, because he's not been taking his medication. I mean, it's crazy. It's going to be interesting going forward to see how this affects everyone. Because even Hannah, like we learned recently, like last week, found out about her situation. This is probably going to aggravate that a little bit more. I mean, there's like a lot of stress compound upon it. It's like potentially her alcoholism, her being a cop, this whole situation, losing a best friend. That's a lot to kind of, even Sherlock's like, hey, she should probably go to some meetings because that's probably going to aggravate some stuff, so. But even Sherlock trying to put on a strong front, much like Hannah, is something that Grayson kind of calls out, But it's like, turns out Sherlock wasn't buying the heroin for himself. But it's interesting because even Dilla was like, oh, Sherlock, it's been a while. Like, oh, you can always come back. Come on, don't be a stranger. Which is something, oh. Because I was worried about that. I was like, oh, man, that sucks. But it's like, no. I was like, but that could be interesting. I was like, maybe that's what his story's going to be about. Like him keeping that a secret while trying to balance his illness, while trying to catch Michael, while also dealing with his addiction. I still feel like, I mean, technically, even though he doesn't take heroin because that's actually meant for Michael, which I'll get to that in a second, even though that isn't the case, it's still a situation of that's all connected. It's just, all of this sparked this situation. It's just Sherlock's condition, his addiction to heroin, plus this whole situation, Michael, like all of it's just kind of like a cycle. It kind of feeds into itself, you know. But it caught me by surprise when it's like, oh yeah, he's actually going to use the heroin against Michael, because I was like, yeah, not many times you actually know your adversary's weakness. It's like it's the same as Sherlock's. It's kind of like, oh, we'll see how like calm and collected and how on the ball he is when he's got heroin in it. And they're going to slip it in. Honestly, Sherlock was going to go like, I'm gonna do it myself, but Joan wanted help. He didn't want to implicate her in this because it's like, you know, as a doctor, he didn't want to like, she has a duty to, you know, kind of do no harm type of situation. But for her, it's like, nah. Even if it's kind of not just skating the law, it's very against the law. It's like, who cares? This guy's kind of a terrible person. He's killed so many people. It's like, yeah. But Michael's already moved. I was like, I was not expecting that. He's even making these promises to Sherlock, like, oh, I'll be back. I'd never lie to you. You're my friend. I promise not to kill anyone until they meet again. Because he wants to give Sherlock this time to recover. Like, that's what I'm wondering about. Was he ever, I'm sure he actually got excited the moment Sherlock was like, oh my God, you know it's me. I'm so happy. Or, you know, I'm sure for him it's like, he wanted Sherlock to get better, so probably the longer Sherlock didn't know it was him, you know. But, I mean, at the same time, it makes it more interesting because now it's like, oh, they know who I am. Yeah, but they'll never catch me. But, it's hard to say, does he want to get caught or not? I kind of feel like he doesn't. He's too, like, narcissistic to want to get caught. Like, it's exciting to almost get caught, but always be a step ahead of everybody. And just, it's quite the interesting situation Sherlock has found himself in, because it's like, this is someone he's never crossed paths with before. For one, it's like, the guy's pretty smart, so he's pretty good at what he does. Plus, Sherlock isn't at 100% either, so that takes its toll too. Which is also interesting when you actually break it down and think it like this. This is the second time that's happened to Sherlock, at least that I'm recollecting over the course of the series. Because the first time was with Moriarty, like the whole Irene thing. So it's like the second time he's gotten fooled by someone like, oh, you thought they were one thing, but now they're another. Maybe that's another reason why this hits him, because he probably promised himself he'd never be fooled again like that. And lo and behold, it happened again. So now it's quite fascinating. And it kind of removes an element of the story. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe Joan gets to know him too or something like that. It's like, no, we're jumping straight into like, nope, he's the killer. He's the serial killer. We got to catch him. So, I mean, it's not like they can do much because there's no evidence. They might be able to keep an eye on them, but legally there's nothing they can do, like any of the police, you know? So, like, even when he comes back into town, not much they can do. It's like they can try and keep an eye on him, but until he does something, they can't really, do anything until some evidence comes up. So we'll see. We do know that Graham is getting released, so there's that, and there might be that might circle back into something else entirely. Just, I don't know, they set that storyline up, so that might turn into something else entirely. I don't know. Also, the fact is that they set up Sherlock's situation with him meeting with his heroin dealer again. Like, it might not directly pop up in the sense of the case, but it might come back up later on in a different case or something where Sherlock crosses paths with him. I mean, the next time him and his dealer meet, it might be under circumstances of Sherlock's doing it for himself just because things have spiraled out of control. And like I said, there's still that element of his illness that hasn't popped up yet in this season, and that's the hallucinations aspect. That has not popped back up again, maybe because his medication is doing a good enough job, but I'm just waiting for that turn to happen where it's like something's going to go down where it's like he's going to be completely mistaken because he's hallucinating something. I just get the inkling that that's going to happen. But I don't know, maybe they won't circle back to that because Sherlock kind of went through that in last season, but maybe they could do it this season because it's like combined with the case. Plus the fact is that Sherlock isn't aware of his condition this time, whereas before he wasn't. So that maybe add a different layer to it. So, I mean, hell, maybe even Michael might play with that a little too, to the point where which is kind of weird to keep saying Michael, that being my name and everything. I know, like, I'm narcissistic to even think like that, but it's just weird because it makes me feel like I'm talking in third person when I'm not. But nevertheless, it just kind of makes you wonder, will he kind of play into that, make Sherlock a little crazy? Maybe in his mind, it's like, oh, push Sherlock a little bit away from everyone, just so it's like, oh, it's just you and me again, like it should be from the very beginning. I mean, that might even motivate him to kind of try and remove Joan from the situation. But, I mean, to be fair, this is all about making sure that Sherlock stays at 100%, and he knows that this group, this family, is kind of a foundation. Belle, Gregson, as well as Joan are a foundation for his sobriety, so he probably wouldn't do that. Now that I think about it, it's like before I thought like that, but it's like now it's like, no, he wouldn't do that because that would affect Sherlock's sobriety, and he wants Sherlock to stay sober and, like I said, be part of this cat and mouse thing. So I almost forgot, because I just checked my notes. I almost completely forgot about the fact is that he actually got help from everyone about looking into Michael, just his whole situation. And it's like, oh, everyone actually didn't ask him to do anything this time, because I was like, because I brought them up earlier. It's like, yeah, he hadn't gotten help from them so far this season. It's like, oh, there it is. But they don't like serial killers and stuff like that. So I guess an opportunity to take down someone as terrible as him, I guess that's just kind of, for now, he's got a freebie. So that was kind of interesting, which means we'll probably see something later on to see ultimately what the cost is later on when he asks another favor. Like, yeah, we gave you that freebie. Yeah, you're not going to get another one. So we'll see. I didn't comment on it, but I am curious to know what this might mean going forward for Sherlock when it comes to his meetings too. Like, he might be more reluctant to talk about things going forward, just because for him it's like, yeah, his talks and stuff like that inspired Michael to go back to killing. Like, if he had not said anything, maybe Michael would have just been so caught up in his hair. I mean, who's to say he still wouldn't have just been killing anyway? But maybe, who knows, for one, maybe he would have been sloppier. I mean, maybe that whole Ashley situation happened around the time he was very sloppy, hence why things were kind of a little, like I said, with the whole Graham situation. So maybe that was around the time he was doing heroin, and that kind of led him to like, oh, hearing Sherlock got him clean. That's kind of my thought process. Because who knows, like, there might have been other people, other murders he committed during that time. Like I said, we don't know everything. We know some of them, but I doubt we know all the victims. So there might be other crimes that he wasn't so good about handling. I mean, who knows? Maybe in retrospect, now that things have kind of handled the way they are, maybe in this time while he's away, he's going to be cleaning up a lot more stuff that he didn't handle well in the past. Maybe now that he knows a lot more and he knows that people are onto him, he's going to cover the tracks a lot better. I don't know. Maybe he'll leave more clues just to kind of point you in his direction, but never have a direct enough evidence for you to get any warrants or really kind of go out of your way to look into him. I don't know. But we do see at the end that Sherlock has decided that he's going to go to Vermont and kind of take some time away. Immediately my brain went, are you actually going to take time away, or are you just faking it to make Joan think you are while you're actually secretly looking for Michael on your own? Because like I said, I feel like that might be something that plays into it. Like, Sherlock's whole situation might be a pride thing where it's like he feels the most responsible for Michael. So maybe he might get big-headed and think like, no, I have to do this. Not really caring too much about his own condition, just to make Watson feel better. Maybe he pretends like he did, and maybe he does. Maybe he does legitimately go to Vermont, relaxes, and recovers so that he can come back now reinvigorated and rejuvenated. Maybe he'll be at the top of his game again, and then he'll feel like he can do it. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I feel like, especially with Sherlock, where he is right now in his mindset about this whole condition, I could feel him going either way. Caught tiny bits of the preview. It seems like immediately in the next episode, he's back. And to be fair, we don't know how long he's been gone. Maybe it's been like a week. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's only been a few days, Because it even seemed like in a little tiny bit I caught of the preview, it seemed like it caught Joan by surprise. So it seems like it's probably like a shorter trip than we expect. But I don't know. We'll ultimately have to wait and see what the next episode has in store for us with this whole situation. So like I said, a great episode with all these kind of like turns I wasn't necessarily expecting. So, and like I said, this early on in the season too, which is incredible. So really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.